Welcome back, everyone, to Triple T Transport's Stay in Your Lane podcast. I'm your host, John Maley. Today, I've got a new gentleman on with us, referred to me from Chris Kaplis over at MIT. We were having a discussion, and he said the person that I want to have on is going to be David Correll. And David, nice to meet you. I want you to say hi to all of our listeners out there and viewers. You are the research scientist at MIT. Is that correct?
That's correct. Thank you so much for having me, and hello to your listeners.
Well, we appreciate you coming on and participating. So, I was talking with Chris, and I've talked with a lot of other people in our industry over the 30 years that I've been involved in transportation here at Triple T. One word seems to continually show up when things don't go well, but I think it's when things don't go well is when the term comes up, and the term is sustainability. I know that's something that you focus on there at MIT. Can you share with me, what your focus is?
The research project that I think is most relevant to talking about sustainability that I work on is one that we just released last month. It's called the State of Supply Chain Sustainability. It's a big annual survey project co-presented by the MIT Center for Transportation and Logistics and the Council of Supply Chain Management Professionals. And what it is a large global survey. So we got almost 3,000 responses this year. Last year, a little over 3,000, and we've done it for 4 years. So we're approaching 10,000 survey responses amongst supply chain professionals talking about supply chain sustainability, what it means and how they do it.
How long, for example, does something this deep and expansive and from a global perspective, how long does it take for you guys to gather all this information and analyze it and put it together in the report? How much, give me an idea of the scope of this project.
Oh gosh, so we work on it. We produce it once a year. We've done it 4 times, so we just released our 4th year. And this last year, we collected data for 3 months, which is honestly the easiest part of the work. That's just having the survey out there and hoping people fill it out.
Mm-hmm.
The funnest part of the work precedes that by another few months. Maybe that's the second funnest. I find all of it pretty fun. But one of the fun parts about writing the survey is that we do it in 4 translations or 4 languages. So the survey went out in English, Spanish, Simplified Chinese, and Portuguese this year. And what's so fun about that is, I only speak English, so I get to work with people from all over the world to help write that. And we get into these really cool conversations about picking apart those words in a way that is really enlightening. So like one example that came up when we did our Spanish language translation was, we asked respondents to rate the importance of supplier diversity, equity, and inclusion in their sustainability platform. And so I was working with a team. I'm so lucky to get to work with a large group of MIT students every year on this project. And I had someone from Mexico, someone from Peru, and someone from Colombia. And we started working on the Spanish language translation and hearing them describe, well, what does diversity mean? And one guy said, well, in my country, I think that means, working with people with different kinds of physical impairments. And then someone said, whoa, in my country, that means people from underrepresented backgrounds. And in hearing that disagreement really amongst people from different parts of Latin America really made me think about the disagreements we hear even within the United States. What do we mean by sustainability? So that was a long way to say the survey's out for about 3 months. I'd say we work on it for maybe 3 months or so preceding that. And then there's another few months of analyzing the data and building a narrative around what we see. We also complement the data analysis with executive interviews, and we usually do around 10, where we have people from industry help us understand why we're seeing what we're seeing, if the number went up, what might explain it, that kind of thing.
And I think that, if you look at sustainability just here in the United States or North America in the English speaking language, I think there are so many different definitions for people applying sustainability to transportation, right?
Oh, yeah.
So my question is, what do you see as sustainability? The definition of sustainability If you look it up on the internet, simple, it says the ability to be maintained at a certain rate or level,
Hmm.
right? That is the definition of sustainability. Then avoidance of the depletion of natural resources. I can see
Hmm.
that perspective, okay?
Hmm.
But then you apply that to transportation. It depends on where you're sitting, what sustainability means, right?
Absolutely.
So, is it rate sustainability? Is it capacity sustainability, right? Is
Yeah.
it on time delivery sustainability?
Mm.
Is it um, is it consistency in your carrier base? And I think what you have to do when you talk about sustainability, it can mean so many different things to so many people, and depends on what seat you're in, depends on where what your goals are, what you're trying to do, what your initiatives are, what your marching orders are. It can mean so many different things to so many different people. But at the end of the day, it comes at a cost, right?
Oh, totally. I have a friend, a great friend in poultry farming, and he has this story. People would say like, "Okay, I want my eggs organic. Okay, I want them free range." And his line was always like, "I will knit each laying hen a sweater if you'll pay me $15 for the eggs." Like, you just got to be sure that we're paying, the money's moving through the chain in the appropriate way. And I think that's a fair, it's more complicated in transportation, but it's a fair ask in that context too.
Well, I think I think it costs money to be considerate to the environment from that perspective of sustainability. I think that when we talk about rate sustainability and pricing sustainability, then it may not cost money, but it may be a longer term play or commitment between parties.
Longer term commitment, and I think there's two angles on the cost. So there's some sort of early sustainability wins that can be cost savers, that just the pursuit of sustainability identified, like better insulating a facility, reducing your energy costs. You're going to use less energy, you're going to save money there. So I think there's those near term wins, but then there's also longer term bets on diesel fuel prices. So some of the move to alternative fuel vehicles, and that's quite a quite a discussion on its own.
Yeah.
But some of the plan there, I don't think anyone's long term plan is to just always pay more to do better for the environment. Some of the long term plan there is the hydrocarbon resource is finite. Currently in the United States, there's not a tax on carbon, but other countries have one, and we could have one. And so if we end up with less oil, or we end up with a carbon tax, the price per gallon of diesel fuel is going to skyrocket. And I want to have some other way to propel vehicles. So
Right.
there's a
Right.
cost
But
savings argument.
and I think that you can look at it from one perspective in that regard, and then you can also say our electric grid can't handle where we're at. Uh, the reality is, in the wintertime, this is not a viable option. You hear the talk about electric semis, right?
Yeah.
And they have some. And I think in specific niches or pockets, regionally or short distance, I think they maybe fill a bill to where somebody could. But at 3 to 4 times the cost of a tractor, it's not practical. No matter how much we want to be considerate to the environment, at
Oh,
3 to 4 times the cost with a minor tax break for purchasing an electric semi, there's another problem that we have. Many people don't speak to, and that's the loss of capacity of a load. Right? If you go to a shipper, if you go to Coca-Cola or Pepsi or somebody and say, hey, you know what? I can only haul 22,000 pounds now, but we are going we're going electric, and we're being environmentally considerate. Well, there's two different things there. You're considerate at that point in time, but all of a sudden they don't want you to haul their load because their loads are built for 44 or 45,000 pounds, right? So
yeah.
you can't do business with them. You've isolated yourself to where you can only haul feathers or pillows or something of that nature, right? And then, because the tractor now weighs, 8,000 pounds of batteries times three to go any distance. And then the downtime that you weren't able to generate revenue to recharge on top of, when you put the math to it and the realistic approach, it's not a sustainable solution, right? We can't retrofit all these other vehicles up and down the road with this type of a drivetrain. So, that's not a realistic trade, because you're now able to haul half a load, right?
No, I think that's exactly right. And I guess I would direct your listeners. You've probably already seen it, but I thought that Andrew Boyle's Senate testimony.
I love Andrew.
I don't know him personally. If you do, please send him. He's got a fan in me. I thought that his Senate testimony was right on, and that he explained, just like you said, and I really learned a lot from it, and I hope the senators did too, that the power draw of semi-trucks is big, and we have to weigh the cost of that power draw against the benefits we're looking for, and we're not ready yet. So I think
I think he
that's
nailed
a fair
it.
point.
I think he nailed it. I think he probably got a lot of heat for coming out and being honest. But I'm a huge fan of Andrew's. I like the delivery. He and I align. I'm not always so polished. That's probably my biggest knock. I just come out and say it. And at times I don't want to offend anybody, but to me, having the tough conversations is always where the value is, right?
Yeah.
So you look at that and you figure out what it costs to build one, and that's not environmentally considerate, right? You look at the metals that are needed. You look at the energy now used and consumed to try and manufacture it, et cetera. When you look at it from a holistic approach, you aren't saving, you're hurting. I've heard other people say that the number of electric and hybrid cars have been the biggest friend of the coal industry, because now we need coal. We're back in demand for coal because we need it to make power. So on one hand, you're doing something positive and thinking that we're helping the environment, and we're absolutely driving the coal industry. So a holistic approach on sustainability from every perspective would be, appreciated. But I think it's a feel-good thing, where people want to feel good about what they're investing in or supporting or purchasing, or that they put their name on. If it's their work, if it's something that they're buying, they want that. They want to feel that they're making a decision that is environmentally friendly, as long as they can handle that economic side. Not maybe based on, you wouldn't do that with your retirement, right?
Supply chains are so interconnected. I thought, for example, Mr. Boyle's testimony did a great job of just saying, to start with, we don't have a grid right now that can handle moving everything to electric trucks. Spot on. But I think we have to be careful how far we convince ourselves that no action is worthwhile, because it's quite easy, I think, to pick apart every effort at a solution to a broader global problem, but we have to embrace some solutions to work incrementally towards the ultimate, most cost-effective one.
Well, and I would agree with you 100% with that statement.
Continue watching on the next episode of the Stay in Your Lane podcast.